ramp reminded me of Prabhupada walking up the Jaladuta. I know we have a bunch of financial people here today, so we'll compare some things with the cost of value analysis. You know, we find when we are stuck in the modes of nature that we end up spending so much time and so much money and ending up in much worse situation than we were in. We have material miseries, and the cure we take is even worse than the original problems. But when we come to Prabhupada and take his instructions and his mercy, it's amazing with what little cost it takes to get a reciprocation from Prabhupada. Must have been like September, October. I don't remember exact dates many times. I do like my initiations, but it was probably early October of 71. And the India-Pakistan war was going on. And I got to do the Artik in Mumbai for Radha Ras Bihari. At this time, we were at the Akash Ganga building on Warden Road. And so while I was doing the Artik, they were dropping bombs near us, and I could see the bombs exploding in the ocean and the tracer bullets going in the air at the planes and the air raid sirens going, wah! And I thought, this is not a good situation. So after Artik, I used to go put the water on Prabhupada's head and give Prabhupada the flower. And the next day after I did Artik, I was in such anxiety. I thought, this anxiety won't go away. And you couldn't leave because the airport was closed after that. And so I walked into Prabhupada's room, and Yadubara was there, and his wife Vishaka, and Tamal Krishna Swami. And I gave Prabhupada the flower and put the water on Prabhupada's head, and I'm in anxiety thinking it's dangerous here. And all of a sudden Prabhupada stopped them. He says, just a minute. And he looked up at me, and I could still remember seeing him look at me with those clear eyes. And he said, so everything is all right? And just like that, the anxiety just disappeared. And I was amazing how quick it was gone. And the next day when my mother called from America and said, are you all right there? I said, yes, I'm safe here with Prabhupada, even though a war is going on. And it felt that way being in Prabhupada's association. He was so careful to take care of us, and he remembered things. I remember we were walking at the Hanging Gardens, which is near the Chowpatty temple. And these impersonalist swamis came along and said, you want to come to our ashram? We said, Prabhupada, if you want to go. And Prabhupada said, not like that. If we all want to go, we'll go. So we said, well, why not? You know, and he's almost 80 and I'm just 18. And we're all sitting on the floor, and Prabhupada's in an old dhoti, and he's preaching in Hindi saying, Ishi Prakar. And all of a sudden he just turns to me. He's only a couple of feet away, and he said, you just came from France recently, didn't you? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I did. He'd remembered that I'd come from France, even though I'm American, even though this was months later. And it was amazing how Prabhupada could see into the future. We did a program at Barcha Vijay Anybody know where that is? Somebody here must know where Barcha Vijay is. It's about 20 meters from the Radha Gopinath temple in Chowpatty. So we walked out of that. I'm there with Shaimasundar and a few others, and Prabhupada points down the road and says, we should have a temple down there. And we do. It's the Radha Gopinath Mandir. So it's amazing how Prabhupada looked into the future with those things. But he cared about us so much, and he really wanted this spirit of cooperation. After being in Mumbai for a year, I took the train. We took the third-class train, which was just a wooden plank from Mumbai to Calcutta. It cost 50 rupees. So you can guess it wasn't a first class, 50 rupees on a 3-day train ride. So when we got to Mayapur, there was only 2 other devotees, Jayapataka Swami and Achuchananda Swami. And then Prabhupada came very quickly after that. And he came with his godbrother, Bhakti Vaibhava Puri Maharaj. And he arranged for all of his godbrothers to come together. And it was brilliant the way he presented this. They dug a hole to put the cornerstone. Prabhupada right away wanted to put the cornerstone for the temple in Mayapur. He wanted this TOVP to go on from the minute he got there in February of 72. So Prabhupada went in to put dirt, and then his godbrothers went in, then the sannyasis went in, then I got to go in. And Prabhupada said, you think brilliantly how he set up this. He said, now we're all together, the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He says, now that we're together, we will do what our spiritual master wanted. Instead of working as separate movements, from today forward, we'll form a governing body and work as one movement. So when people think that Prabhupada wanted a successor, he wanted this system because Bhaktisiddhanta wanted it, and he just naturally assumed that that was the next step, and they all said jai, but it never quite happened. And Prabhupada was so free with his mercy. This is why we just give a little. So I was on my way to Africa to open a temple with Rishi Kumar Swami, who later left me there alone, as I explained this morning. So I went into Srila Prabhupada's room and I said, Prabhupada, I'm going to Africa now, and I hope this gives me an opportunity to increase my service to you. And Prabhupada put his hands behind his head and he said, service to Lord Chaitanya, service to Lord Chaitanya, service to Lord Chaitanya. And I knew his mercy because when I was there in South Africa, when Rishi Kumar had left me alone, I found a note, dear Shruti decided to split, and now I realize I'm here in a country where the natives don't like me and the government wants to kill me and I'm alone. So I wrote to Prabhupada and I explained this morning of how he said that. And I'm glad I mentioned that Rishi Kumar had taken money, because when Rishi Kumar went to Mumbai, Prabhupada said, you left that young boy all alone and took the money with you? He said, you give me whatever money you have. So he got $700 from Rishi Kumar, and Prabhupada sent me a receipt of $700 towards my book debt. He took the money with him, but he did leave me a $15,000 debt. So I ordered a few more $1,000s in books. I was able to pay that whole debt off and give $4,500 to Pushta Krishna when he came, because Prabhupada was very concerned. He asked Brahmananda to come down, and Brahmananda was writing me letters. Email didn't exist, all the way down Africa, and that he was coming. And then at the border, they turned him back because he had African devotees with him. So I was still there alone. Then Prabhupada sent Duradarshan. That means hard to find. So after a couple of weeks, Duradarshan was Duradarshan, hard to find, he was gone, and I was there alone again. And then he'd asked Pushta Krishna Swami to come. So Prabhupada took so much concern that I was there alone. And he took so much concern for his devotees. And I was thinking when Braj Vilas was talking that Prabhupada wrote to us in Laguna Beach that if somebody gives a big donation, it should go to Mayapur project because it is our most important project. And sometimes people make up rumors about wasting money, but I did some simple cost of value. As Braj Vilas was telling me that similar projects to this TOVP, like A.B. Piramal is building a project, and he doesn't get cheated. He watches every penny. He's paying $22,000 per square foot for a similar project. TOVP is only paying 11, half as much, because Ambarish pays some of the salaries, people do some of their service for free, but if we're getting it at half the price of somebody who's really watching their money, then you can't say we're wasting money. We're doing a pretty good job of that. So I decided I got myself a place in Mayapur. I want you all to go see it. If you walk in the temple, there's a pillar, number 13, between Lord Nrsingadev and between the Radha Madhava temple, and it only cost me $22. I saved some money up for that, and I'm paying for it over years, and I'm happy to have that place instead of buying a place there. Of course, 22 means 22 lakhs of rupees, but I'm happy to reciprocate with Srila Prabhupada some little bit that I can, and to go and preach and give mercy like he gave to me. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.